Welcome back, Camden Catholic. Today we stopped off after we talked about some weird stuff about Nero, and some weird stuff about Caligula, and some weird stuff about Elagabalus, and some weird stuff about a lot of people that were really, really weird. But then we talked about the five good emperors, right? So we talked about Nerva, we talked about Trajan, we talked about Hadrian, and he's a big one, and then we also talked about Pius and Marcus Aurelius. Now, I think personally that Marcus Aurelius was the best emperor next to Augustus that Rome had ever seen. For extra credit, if you would like, to go towards your first test, which is next Monday, look up another fun fact about Marcus Aurelius, and I'll give you 3 extra points on your test. All right? Shh, don't tell anybody. All right, anyway, so, well, let's keep going. So the fall is coming, right? And always, bad leaders leads to a big fall. So, there were a lot of bad leaders, but there were a lot of other reasons why Rome's decline in the West happened. So, trouble in the Roman Empire, right? The main thing is barbarians, right? Barbarians, why do they call barbarians again? Because blah, 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 right? They babble, okay? Because they couldn't understand them. Outsiders that were not Roman began to attack the empire's borders, right? The Germanic tribes attacked from the north, the Persians attacked from the east, and then the African people called the Berbers attacked from the south. And a lot of you are like, well, who attacked them from the west then? Well, the Roman Empire extended all the way, like if we go all the way, wow, we talked about a lot of stuff. We go, hope your day's going well. So if we keep going, there it is. That's a weird noise. If we go all the way back, so the Germanics were attacking from up here, and actually this is modern-day Germany right here. This is Austria and Hungary. So the Germanics were attacking from over here. The Persians and the Arabics were attacking from this side, and then the Africans were attacking from the south, the Berbers. Now, no one was attacking from the west because this is just ocean. It's not like the Native Americans paddled their way over there and we're like, eh. So that never happened. Now, and then we talked about Sulla. Wow, this is aggressive. There we go. Man, we talked about a lot of stuff. Oh, that's Caesar getting stabbed. That's kind of cool. Anyway. Grand Nephew Octavian, Pax Romana, other Augustus pictures. Something. Oh, Roman toilet. Bathhouse. Death of Augustus. Caligula, Psycho. Moving on. Here we go. All right, so anyway, now. Persians from the east, Africans from the south, Germanics from the north, right? Constant invasions causes you to have to do what with your military? You have to split it up in several different pieces and send it to a bunch of different sides, right? So, the thing about that, though, is that it weakens your military, it weakens your economy, it weakens everything, okay? Like, for example, the Germans lost both world wars because they had to fight on 2 sides the entire war, right? So it's called two-front war. Now, also, rulers in Rome were unable to govern effectively. If you have a huge war going on and you're sending all of your supplies to your soldiers and everything else, you don't have enough money or food for your poor. You don't have enough strength to keep the empire in check. You can't stop a civil war. You can't stop a revolt. You can't stop anything. So tyrants are going to seize control because tyrants are feared, right? And they rule through fear. Because right now, with a lot of problems, good leaders like Marcus Aurelius are going to be pushed to the side. So citizens also are going to begin to lose respect for their government. But a big thing is, there should be a big star around this section. Barbarian invasions was a major, major cause. So, continuing also, though, the economy also then began to crumble. Because think about it. Who fights the wars for them? Do the patricians fight the wars, or do the plebes fight the wars? The plebes do. Now, if all the plebes are off trying to stop these barbarian invasions, no one is back home farming, craft working, merchanting, right? So, like, no one's back home doing these things. So, the economy's backbone is away trying to stop invasions, right? Now, trade is also going to decline drastically, and their money is going to begin to lose value because there's, like, a heck of lot less of it, right? And it's harder to come by. So, big old X to the monies. And then, here's the worst thing you could have done, right? So, we talked about Elagabalus, Caligula, Nero, Thrax I talked about with some of you, a couple other guys, right? Terrible emperors. This dude was one of the worst ones. This guy's name is Diocletian, right? Diocletian came to power in 284 AD. Now, it's 200 years after the death of Jesus. So this literally means that for about 250 years, people have been practicing Christians. And he divided the empire into 2 huge chunks. And he decided to rule the east while he led the east, and he trusted his friend to lead the west. Now, why do you think he picked the east? Because he knew the east was going to hold on for a little bit longer, right? So, thing about Diocletian, though, sorry, I'm also eating a mint. Thing about Diocletian is he actually was one of the biggest persecutors of Christians, right? killed 3,000 of them, martyred 3,000 Christians. A lot of them were put to death in the Colosseum, or the circus, right, to be fed to lions, and then a bunch of them were crucified, and then a bunch of them were burned at the stake, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He blamed all the problems going on in Rome, actually, ironically enough, on the Christians, a lot like Nero did. So, anyway, then this guy comes around, who's actually really, really awesome, and he picked it up after Diocletian. Well, that wasn't supposed to happen. Anyway, move. I'm going to move me out of the way a little bit, and then get back to it. There we go. Constantine, which was another huge leader. He actually made Christianity an accepted religion and helped keep the empire alive. So that happened around, I think, like 470 BC. So he followed up after Diocletian, and he actually focused on the eastern part of the empire, right, where he actually himself converted to being a Christian because of a sign he saw in battle, he says. He says that he looked up and he saw like a big cross of star. Anybody who wants to look up why Constantine became a Christian, the myth anyway, I'll give you extra credit on your first test on Monday, but you got to get to me first. Deal? All right, so anyway, now, let's keep going. So, Constantine moved the capital of the empire to Byzantium, which he then renamed Constantinople after himself. Some of you are like, wait a minute, Byzantium, I've heard this word before. You have. The Byzantine Empire was the eastern side of the Roman Empire that actually held on for most of the Middle Ages, while the West just went... Anyway, now, in 395 AD, the empire officially split down the middle. The East grew, the West shrunk, right? Now, there you go. So, we have the west side over here, splitting like what the original Rome is on the west side, and then Greece and over was considered the east side, and the dividing line was right there. So, this was a very, very bad move, okay? Bad move in the sense of you can't... Dividing an empire just creates two separate empires, right? And if these two aren't correlating with one another, then one side's going to fall eventually. So, and the main thing was they got invaded again. Late 300s and early 400s, they needed to land to escape these people called the Huns, right? The Huns were actually led by this guy named Attila, which we'll talk more about tomorrow. And the Vandals also attacked in Rome in 406, which is a massive tribe of people that attacked as well, caused a lot of damage. And they actually believed in defacing Rome as well. They wanted to burn and tear down as many buildings as they possibly could. Germanic tribes invaded again. There's like a lot of there's actually a lot of skulls that we have left over of Germanic tribes, but I'm going to show you a lot of this stuff tomorrow. And they also took items and destroyed monuments. The word vandals, also known as vandalize, a vandal means someone who actually purposely destroys another property, right? And that actually comes from the Vandals and when they invaded Rome. So, by 500 AD, specifically, write this down, 476 AD, the Roman Empire had broken into several different kingdoms, and this is going to usher in the era of the Dark Ages, or the early Middle Ages, right? So, we're going to talk about how the fall of the Roman Empire made the Middle Ages happen in this period of distortion and low intellectual activity, and like this transitional phase between like, hey, Rome, and everything else, okay? So, but it's very important, hold on, sorry about that, off my game right now. It's very important that you know, are you serious? Bang, bang, so trouble in Roman Empire, barbarians, they split it in half, something, the economy broke, and then Diocletian, he's a jerk, Constantine, he's awesome, focus on this, Byzantine, bang, bang, split it in half. There we go. So, specifically, the year that the western half of the Roman Empire fell, though, is 476 AD, all right? So, this is 476 years after the birth of Christ. So, we're now in the ADs, which is phenomenal. We're going to be starting the Middle Ages soon, right after your first test. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the Vandals, some of these tribes, the Attila, and those guys. We're going to further clarify why Rome fell, and then we're also going to move into the Byzantine Empire, right? So I hope y'all have a fantastic evening, Camden Catholic. Y'all enjoy yourselves, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.